We're going live.
All right, good evening, everybody. Hopefully this isn't too loud. My name is Rosemary Firestine, and all right, that's encouraging, thank you. So we're here tonight, Mr. Paul Kelley, my neighbor, and my friend. We are here tonight to just talk about who we are and how we might be able to contribute to helping Athens Township and the local government process be more efficient, just be a little bit better. Going into service is sacrifice, and there's no doubt that the men and women on the Athens Township Board of Supervisors have made sacrifices for their community in probably more ways than we can know. But when I got interested, it was because the road I lived on had a bridge that was out, and a year and a half went by, and there just didn't seem to be any movement forward, any plan forward to affect any kind of change to open that bridge. So I got involved, and the more meetings I went to, the more I thought, geez, I have this planning experience, I have this organization experience, I've run major operations in the Coast Guard, I've run major budgets, I've managed smaller budgets, large units, small staffs, big staffs. I think I can contribute. I don't know that I can guarantee a fix to anything, but I think I can contribute on a path forward. So I grew up here in Sayre. Yes, we're landlocked, Sayre, Pennsylvania. I know the rigors, but I went in the Coast Guard and I served on major ships, smaller ships, boats. I've done maritime law enforcement at the federal level. I think my experiences have brought me back here, and I just said to a gentleman in the audience here that you are where you're supposed to be. I think I might be able to help, and that is my goal. I don't pretend to know how to work on a road crew. I do not. But I know how to be part of a team, and I know how to manage teams, I know how to be a follower, and I know how to be a leader. So I think I can take those experiences and transfer that to what is going on in Athens Township to help Athens Township be better. Because as Mr. Kelley Paul likes to say, we can do better. We should do better for our residents, our taxpayers, our future. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself, Paul.
I don't think I need a microphone.
Well, you might for the recording.
You might for the live stream.
Hi, I'm Paul Kelley. I live at the base of Moore Road. My family moved up here in 1972 from Muncie, Pennsylvania. We begged Dad to buy a house in Sayre because Muncie was blue and white, Athens was blue and white. We loved red and blue. But we took an achievement test. They said we were too smart. We'd have to go to Athens. So we wound up on Bressler Street. And I can remember walking down the phase, and there were still chickens walking across the road down there at Fort Road. So I've been around for a while, okay? And I've seen a lot of change, okay, in the township. I can remember when we had 4 police officers. Today we have 18. I don't think we have any more crime now than we did then. The other major issue is the roads are horrible. A friend of mine said the other day, you'll know you're in Litchfield when the road smooths out. Now, I'm not going to stand up here and complain about what this individual did, what that individual did. That's not going to move the ball forward. I know most of you, I don't know all of you. What we're doing is not working. And it's evident on any road you drive on in the township. I think we're just throwing money down the hole. We buy a piece of equipment, 6 months later they break it. We bought a truck 2 years ago, it's already caught on fire. This truck was uninspected. Should have never been taken off the lot. need somebody to come in here and oversee this and to manage this. I met Rosemary when she bought Dr. Burns' old house, or not Dr. Burns, Bob Burns' old house. The bridge was still closed on Moore Road. It had been closed since December of 2024. They were kind, they gave us 2 days notice. I had a Syrian engineer tell me 6 weeks ago there was no reason to close the bridge. Should have never been closed in the first place. The Miller Road Bridge, I have photographs of. I have a little bit of experience in this area. Like Rosemary, I'm not a paver, I never worked on a road crew. But I was a federal mine inspector, both on surface and underground for a decade. I worked with Ralph Porter for 8 years before basically I got recruited into the federal job. I've inspected gravel pits that are larger than Athens Borough. I have never seen a pothole that wasn't fixed in 5 minutes. As soon as I pointed it out, the guys on the radio to the loader operator, potholes fixed before we come back and through. Some of these gravel roads, the last time I went up Mill Road, you just about knock your teeth out to get to the top. You can't do more than 5 miles an hour, okay? They have no system to water the roads in the summertime. They have no system to fix the potholes. They have no system to clean the ditches. It's bad, okay? Is there anybody here from Westbrook Street, Hillcrest Drive, Pine Tree Road? Nobody, okay.
Yes. Yes. We're from Hillcrest Drive.
Okay. I moved up here in 1972. We had a beautiful home on Gressler Street, but everybody said at that time, I mean, those were the nicest homes in the valley, okay? If you're gonna run a pulverizer, which is what they did over there, the correct way to use that machine is you take a dump truck and you dump threes. A three is a rock that'll go through a 3-inch screen. That's how they grade them, okay? You dump threes and then you rototill them in. Okay, they didn't do that. They just rototill it. Now we've got a colossal mess over there. I've talked to a couple guys who know a lot more about this than I do. And they told me the only way we fix this is we have to roll it and we have to pave it. We're 2 weeks away from potential snowstorm. They're gonna run a plow up through there? Okay, this is a mess, and it's a problem that needs to be fixed. I think I'm gonna let, if we're both elected, I'm gonna let Rosemary handle the budgeting issues. I've done some budgeting, I ran the union local, but she's way more advanced on that stuff than I am. And I'll try to just kind of monitor what's going on, make good, positive decisions. Thank you.
All right, so I just want to follow. So I completely agree, and if we both get elected into office, where I would start would be a comprehensive plan. I've asked about a plan. They've told me that they have a plan, and I've done some research. It's difficult because their website is not the best website. They've been upgrading it now at least for the last 2 years, and we don't see the results. So if I need information, I want information, I do a right to know request, or I go to the meetings and I just say, can I have the papers that you're looking at? Sometimes I get them, sometimes I don't. I've been to most of the budget meetings over the last probably 14 to 18 months. I've given some recommendations, some of them are followed and some of them are not. We're told some of them are taken into consideration and they don't come to fruition. But I think as far as the roads, we have about 75 miles of roads in Athens Township. Roughly half of those are paved, the rest are categorized as other than paved. The recent superintendent of roads who resigned about a month ago, he kept asking the Board of Supervisors to get a plan together, get the money together to pave all of the roads. I'm curious to know, what do the residents want? Do we need to have the roads that are more rural paved, or can they be other than paved? Is that sufficient? Is that make more sense to the residents who have lived there for years and years? The comprehensive plans dated 2007, I believe, and then an update in 2017. But if you don't follow your plan, then it's not really a plan. It's a document that you put in a drawer or on a shelf or in a bookcase, and you don't really follow it. And I've asked about the plan. They've said we updated it. Well, it was either 2017 or 18, and so that is the people that are on the board now. So if the township residents want to have more of the same, then elect the people that are there. But if you want to affect some change, I think that's what I can do. I think that's what Paul can do. And I'm a little concerned that if only one of us gets elected, that we won't be able to affect change, because it's a 5-member board, and you have to have a quorum. So that means you have to have at least 3 of the 5, or if there's 4 there, generally the chairperson is the tiebreaker. But if there's 4, there's not a tiebreaker. So I'm curious to know from those of you here, what kind of things would you like to see either continue the way they are, or a change in how things are tackled now? Yes, sir.
So I never got a good answer from the current town board. How can South Waverly, Athens Borough, Sarah put in nice blacktop roads, but the township can't put in a decent road? I never got a decent answer from them.
So the question is, this gentleman has been to the meetings and has asked the Board of Supervisors, why can Sarah Borough, South Waverly Borough, Athens Borough pave the roads, but the in-town roads in Athens Township are not paved? Did I summarize that?
Yes.
So, and I would say, I don't have an answer for that. We would have to ask them. But on their website, they post all the meeting minutes. And so if you go to the website and you read the meeting minutes, you will see a resident ask a question, and you will see no answer given. And that's not transparency. The watchwords or the keywords, or however you want to call it, that I'm running on are stewardship. We need to be better stewards of the township's resources. That's not just money. That's building, that's infrastructure, that's transportation, that's your capital inventory list, that's the whole kit and caboodle. Transparency. Information should be free-flowing. We should be able to go to an internet site. We should be able to go to a Facebook page, multiple outlets, the media. I think he left. The newspaper, the radio. And there's all different generations here. My mother does not get on the computer, but I bet you get on the computer, don't you? So you probably look at Facebook, and my mother will look at the newspaper. Well, what newspaper do they go to? They go to the Daily Review. The Morning Times is the local paper. But any public notice that's put in the paper by Athens Township is put in the Daily Review. In fact, I believe when they were looking for the treasurer, so recently, for those that don't know, in Athens Township, the treasurer resigned. The longtime treasurer, 38-year treasurer, Ruth Casterline, retired, and they hired another treasurer who was here. I believe she was hired in February. She resigned in September. The road superintendent, who was hired roughly a year ago, resigned in September. The road foreman resigned in September. The 2 operators on the road crew both resigned in September. I asked, what's the impetus for their resignations? The answer that Matt Moore, our current supervisor, gave was that the residents. I said, explain that. The residents, they're rude, they're mean, they chastise these guys that are out there on the road crew. And of course, I said back to him, I don't think they're upset with the road crew. I think the road crew is the face of the supervisors. They're upset with decisions being made by the supervisors. I don't know that that's a fact, that's just my opinion. That's what I observe. I can only tell you my observations. Why are all these people leaving? The chief of police was in the meeting not quite a month ago, and he was asking the Board of Supervisors to increase the base salary of police officers newly hired. So he had several, 2 or 3 police officers resign. And what was the reason they resigned? Was the question asked. Well, they resigned because Sarahborough and Athensboro pay more money. So
what does that do for them? I mean, why are they basing what we're doing off of what they're doing? They've tried for years, the borough, Sarahborough, and the township, they've all tried to consolidate. They go through all these meetings for years on end, we've never consolidated. Do we need to consolidate? Do we need that problem?
well, I don't know if the answer is consolidation, but I do know that in Pennsylvania, there is a huge push for intergovernmental cooperation. And just for 1 second, think about the road crew. They've been at a disadvantage, people walking out the door for the last month. Why can't we have some kind of cooperative agreement with the surrounding municipalities to continue to get work done? But we don't. And I will say the chairwoman, Tressa Heffron, said to me that Athens Borough was the reason that cooperation amongst police departments did not happen.
I agree with that.
I don't know.
I agree
I
with
wasn't
the
here.
road crew also.
I will tell you, there's upwards of 30 police officers between Sarahborough, Athensboro, and Athens Township.
Okay.
And people will say to me, well, South Waverly contracts one from Sarahborough. What is the crime rate here? Do we know?
No.
Because I can't find it. I've looked to see, because if we do need that kind of robust law enforcement, I am all for it. I question, and I'm not even including Waverly. You know, that the other there's only 2 other municipalities in Bradford County that have police, Canton and Towanda, according to the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development. That's where I got this information. Yes, ma'am.
I'll just identify myself. My name's Michelle Stroll. Having had a business in Athens for many years, I'm kind of shocked to hear that we have 30 police officers across 3 of the towns, these little towns. Where are they? I don't see police. I mean, if we've got 30 police officers from Sarah, Athens, and Athens Township, what are they doing? Because I don't see them on the streets. I don't see them on the highway. I don't even see them in the stores. So I'm wondering, where are they patrolling? What are they doing with their daily beat routes? And what's the report that they're giving back to the township about the need? Where are these guys and gals? And what are they doing? Do we know?
I do not. I will tell you that Athensboro on their website, they do have a comprehensive report, their meeting minutes, and it does talk about in pretty good detail what the police department is responding to, how are they involved in community. It's pretty good. I will tell you that I've been to the Athens Township Supervisor meetings, and I have asked for the different department heads parks, roads, zoning, planning, police, fire. Now, fire does a good job in Athens Township with the reports. I've asked them to please read those reports, because we'll go in and they'll sit in the front and they will say, okay, can I get a motion to accept the reports? Can I get a second motion? And then they want to pass it, and I'll raise my hand and say, can you read those reports to us? Because we don't know what you're talking about. Can you put them on the board, on the big screen? Do something to be transparent. And it falls on deaf ears.
Have they told you, you run a lot of meetings, have they told you how many crimes have been committed that were crimes against a person, or crimes against property, or traffic violations? I mean, does that come up in the meeting?
No. No, but that's the kind of information that is actually in the Athens Borough minutes. If you go compare just in this area, just compare the different municipalities. Athens Borough is pretty transparent. I haven't really looked too much at SARE. I can't seem to find their comprehensive minutes, but Athens Township is, I wrote down a letter maybe a year and a half ago, probably not that long ago. And I said, I think you're violating the Sunshine Act, and here's how. But I didn't, my goal wasn't to poke them in the eye and say, hey, you're wrong, be better. I wrote them the letter, I said, here's where I think you're violating the Sunshine Act, and here's how I think you can change. I think you shouldn't wait 2 months to put minutes out. And I know the board has to approve them, so that's a lengthy process. But it was the end of August until the middle of December before minutes were published. That's not transparent. Executive sessions. When they were talking about the police officer being hired, they wanted to put an ad in the newspaper. They wanted to take that into executive session. I said, that's not an executive session topic. That you want to put an ad in the paper, you want to increase the salary. I believe it was $49,000 is what they started with. They wanted to increase it to $65,000. They wanted to take that into the executive session. I said, I don't, that's a budget topic. That's not an executive session topic in my mind, in my experience. But the answer was, no, Rosemary, you're incorrect. And they took it into executive session. And I was frustrated, so I left. I didn't stay to hear what happened afterwards. But they did increase the starting salary of Athens Township police officers to $65,000 to start. So that they could be competitive with Sarahborough and Athensboro. Okay, so 5 minutes earlier, they had told a group of residents from Westbrook and Hillcrest and Pine Tree and Jacob and Rosh that they couldn't pave the road because they didn't have the funds to do it. It wasn't in the budget for this year. They'd have to wait until the next budget sessions. So, I think they're taking things into executive session that are not necessarily executive session material, but I'm not an expert.
You want to know?
I think Joe wants to follow up on this, yeah.
Yes, sir.
You've been there when I was there, and I said to them, why are you doing it? Well, that's the way we've always done it. That's their standard answer, that's the way we've always done it.
Worst answer in the world.
Worst answer in the world, especially for me. That's
That's,
just because we've always done it that way, today's not the day for that.
but it's not working. What's happening is not working.
No.
You know, we're throwing money hand after fist, and we don't have results. We've got to try and change it.
So how do you
Can't
change
afford
it?
it.
What's your answer to change it?
Show of hands. How many of you have been to Round Top? How many of you have been to the Tozer's boat landing over there where the guys usually sit there fishing at night? Okay. How many times would you say on average, you go to Brown Top Park in the summertime? Nobody goes. Okay? Nobody goes up there unless you're in high school and you got a beer bottle.
That's not.
No,
Well,
that's not.
It's okay, but I mean, it's not World's End. Okay? It's not Ricketts Glen.
It's not
It's, yeah.
But there are some things up there. The model airplane, what do you call them, drones, that thing. They've got ATV trails. There are a lot of people who use that. But to answer your question from my perspective, we have to prioritize. We have to do something a little more drastic than just go through the motions of doing the budget yet again, where we say, okay, the roads get $300,000 and everything else gets the rest. We gotta stop doing that. We have to prioritize the roads. Everybody here knows the history of why municipalities are even in being. Why is that?
Right.
Because they had to figure out a way to get local people involved, a municipality involved, some organization, some planning, to make roads safe so people can get to their jobs, to school, to the grocery store. I mean, sorry, there's a gnat flying around my face. What I would do is I would say we have to cut back in making nice to haves, want to haves, and do what we have to do. We have to make the roads safe. If you have to, there is a gnat like right in my face.
Well, how do you do that?
If you have
There's
to,
2 of you.
yeah, so there's 2 of
How
us,
can you
there's
get
5
that?
on the panel.
How
So,
are you gonna change that with the other 3 that we have?
We're gonna have to
Consensus.
manipulate one into seeing our side. I mean, it's, otherwise we get outvoted 3-2 every time. But, here's what we have to look at. If we get in, it's 3-2. We got another election coming up in 2 years. Okay, we'll get somebody else in. Okay, this is gonna be a long process, folks. This is gonna, Rosemary and I aren't gonna get elected on November 4th and the roads are all fixed in December. No. Okay, where I was going with the round top thing is, you have to stop spending money on stuff you don't need. You got, the priority, day one, is the roads. Okay? I got a friend of mine, he said, I got a $2 million house up here, he said, I can't get to it. That same individual went into a meeting, he's one of the best equipment operators in a 50-mile circle. Okay? He offered to work with the road crew, he offered to train the road crew, he offered to drive the equipment for them, they laughed at it. Okay? I'm a federal mine inspector, folks, until I retired in January. That man has a tremendous reputation. I don't know how they can be so disassociated with reality.
Because
And we should have jumped at the opportunity.
it's the way we've always done it.
Well,
so we've got to
Sat
change.
there tonight,
I've been.
and I told them how unsafe that equipment was. You
Yeah.
were right there.
Yes, sir, I was.
And that was their answer, because that's the way we've always done it, well, you can't do it that way.
So I'd like to suggest that maybe if these 2 folks get elected, maybe it'll give those, at least one of those 3 people the courage to break ranks with them and start doing things differently.
So what I think,
we might be able to get them all. Okay?
Yeah, I mean, I've read just a little bit about the road crews and stuff, and, there's already, I heard from Rosemary that there's indication there that the road crew is so clearly unhappy that they're sneaking behind their supervisor's back to make known some of the things that are going on. So, you don't have anything to lose. You get these 2 people elected, and maybe things will start to change. But, it's not going to change overnight.
so I'm kind of a planner by, that's what I do, I plan. The people who are on the board of supervisors now, they all have full-time jobs. And I think that a lot of times they come into the meetings and they want to be prepared to have the discussion. that's about to happen. But sometimes I feel like I know more about the topic from doing research than they know. And they get caught off guard, they get a little bit anxious, and then they table it, and they table it, and they table it. And so, well, how can I affect change? I can start with a plan. You know, I've been trying to influence budget decisions, but as a resident, I have no authority, I have no in with them, just one person going. Now, I get upset because they had the last budget meeting on Sunday morning at 9 or 10 o'clock, you know? Woo. I didn't go, I decided to go to church instead. But I had gone, last year I went to them, and between Nancy and I, we gave them a list of things that, you know, $60,000 for cameras at Round Top. Nice to have, not a need to have. We've got 30 police officers in the valley. Can't somebody make a patrol there? They wanted $45,000, I think it was, don't hold me to that, to lighting in the parking lot at the Township building. I'm sorry?
Panic buttons.
So the Township Supervisors have panic buttons that they use in the meetings because they told me they're afraid of residents. So they had to get a panic button.
I've never been yelled at for doing a good job.
To alert the police who are in the next room over, and they actually have a police officer generally in the room, sometimes in the vestibule area. You know, it's just, there's a lot of nice to have, maybe unnecessary. I ask them, what are your capability requirements? What drives your purchase? And there's just so many things that have come up over the last 18 months that I've been here that I just question. Snow chains on the tires, they recycle them. And then on December 20th last year, after they had recycled them, they didn't have chains. And the trucks drove into the ditches and they had to get towed out. And it's unsafe and it's unacceptable. Train, equip, operate. Organize, train, equip, operate. That's how it works. That's not what happens. Yes, sir.
I just want to say something. The system kind of doesn't work the way it's supposed to. Now, we all seem to be saying that same thing. But what exactly is it doing? It's backwards. And it has a lot to do with a comprehensive plan. And every business has one. I mean, how could you run a business and look down the road if you don't have a plan? I was involved with the first and the updated comprehensive plan for the borough of Sarah, and spent a lot of time on it. We did it right by sending out questionnaires. It's just disappointing if you don't get a lot of them back, but we wanted to know what the people want. Because the supervisors work for the taxpayers and citizens. What happens is, council puts not to throw snowballs at anybody, but they have a tendency to put themselves first. I know what the community needs better than you do. I'm going to tell you what the priorities are going to be. Well, if you've got 5 or 8 supervisors, they all have a different idea and they're tugging at each other. And a lot of these meetings end up being just a shouting session because it's backwards. They don't come together as a team and say, listen, I'm not in control of this. The taxpayer, the people are. Let's do what they want done. And if you have a good question there and a good plan, well, I'll tell you. That's why those plans do end up sitting on the shelves, gathering dust. They're never being used because they want a free wheel. Your supervisors want a free wheel. Oh, I know what's best. I know what's this. I need this in my neighborhood. I need it. Wait a minute, you have a plan. I don't care about that plan. Nobody asked me to put together that plan. The planning commission, the zoning board, they put together the plan. But who the hell are they? They're not in charge. This is the team building that these two can do. That we desperately need it. We desperately need it.
Probably my number one priority would be fiscal responsibility with the budget, being a taxpayer. How healthy is the Athens Township budget? Do they have enough money for another police officer? If they don't have enough money for Rosemary, how do they get allocated? How do they decide to juggle things around when they have needs? You've been going to those meetings, budget's one of your high marks in your portfolio. What's the budget look like after visiting those meetings for 14 months, 15 months?
It's difficult for me to say because they don't get into the granularity of it that I'm used to. They use a very high level line item. I try to get the documents. I've asked, Nancy's asked, can we get the same documents you're looking at? They come in with last year's budget and each of the Pennsylvania codes for that line item. And then their entering argument is what they gave them last year.
Yeah.
And that, to me, that's the wrong rock.
But how was it spent? I mean, they might have got what they got last
Sure,
year.
they reallocate throughout the year, but if residents aren't there to ask questions, why are you doing that? They just,
They get ignored, they got down.
it's not,
You can't be in the executive session.
Do they publish treasurer's reports?
not to my knowledge.
When was the last time the township was audited?
It's being audited as we speak.
Well, that's a good thing for you. You don't want to go into office and not have an audit.
So
That's a good thing.
Let me just give a little background on the audit situation. So there's 3 elected auditor positions. There's currently 2 elected auditors, and they were in the process of conducting an annual audit. The township, and they are allowed to do this, they hired a company, an outside CPA firm, to conduct an independent audit. And they have done so. The last that I heard, the last that I was at a meeting and they talked about, the company's name I believe is Baker Tilly. I think it was out of Mansfield, but it could have been Williamsport. Their home office is Chicago, Illinois. So that presented some questions in my mind of if there's an issue with this contract, is it Illinois law that it supersedes Pennsylvania law? I don't know the answer to that question, but I do know that they had asked for a full inventory, basically a capital inventory. I don't think they called it that. They called it something else, but it was basically a capital inventory. They were not going to submit their audit until they had that. So I've been asking for a year, what equipment do you have? What property do you have? What is the status of all of this? And I believe they asked this company about that. So they submitted or are submitting their audit without an inventory.
Adverse.
Adverse,
It's
an
adverse.
adverse finding in
No,
their audit.
the elected auditors have discovered that issue before and presented it during the 2023 audit that was presented publicly in 2024.
Sorry,
that they
I
had-
can't hear what you're saying.
I'm sorry, just repeat what I said. But we found that deficiency and notified
Do
them
you
of
want me
that.
to just?
No, I just want you to,
Speak up a little bit.
I can't, so you'll just have to repeat it.
Okay, so he said that the previous auditors have cited that as an issue before, that the township does not have a capital property inventory. They cannot produce one,
Which is required for the federal single audit and for federal funds.
which is required for the federal single audit and to receive federal funds. Did I get that right? Okay.
So that may be fairly significant then. They can't-
It's a big deal.
They can't get federal funds, that's fairly significant. So the good thing is, if it's an outside, it sounds like it's a truly an independent outside.
Yes,
firm.
ma'am.
And so you can feel fairly good, it sounds like, that the audit is gonna uncover any, for lack of a better term, anything that's going on.
Right, there should be no, it's not a local
Except,
company.
except not having a capital inventory is a problem that would have to be discussed. It sounds like, from what you're all describing, that the biggest problem with Athens Township is lack of a comprehensive plan, and two, something that I haven't heard anybody express, is that you have a supervisor who runs these meetings, who does not have the skills to run a meeting effectively. So that the public can participate without there being any of the fistfights or just stopping the meeting and taking it to closed doors. And, you know, that's key, that, you know, some people, maybe you two would be the voices of reason that could, even if you've got a supervisor, the head supervisor, whatever that person is called, who's running the meeting, you can still interject and bring down the level of tension.
So,
Because that sounds like a major, major issue.
one thing that I think Paul and I both agree on, and there might be some value in considering a township manager, because the way that it seems to go right now is the secretary is charged with running around herding all the cats from all the different departments, but she really has no authority, for lack of a better word. She can't make the road crew prioritize something. She can't make the police provide a report. She can't enforce those kind of things because she's not a supervisor. So one thing we've kind of bantered back and forth about is there any value added in maybe a township supervisor that would be a person who can herd all those cats, make some organization out of the daily operations of the township, so that when the supervisors come in every 2 weeks for their meeting, they're on the ball and they know what is going on in the township, where they need to prioritize. And we don't have a grant writer within the township either. And so we think a township manager probably would bring that skill set, and maybe we ask for that skill set in a township manager.
Do you know why we have 5 supervisors?
I know it's an option to have 3 or 5. I don't know how we got to 5, no
I
sir.
always had 3.
Until,
We needed 2 more. We needed 1 to run the road crew, we needed 1 to run the police department. That's why we have 5 supervisors.
as far as I can tell, neither of those things happen right now. I mean, each one of them has in the first meeting of the year, they decide which little niche they're in. And one of them is the belly button for the police, and one of them is the belly button. But to me, that's not leadership in that department. You're the communicator. And like I said, they all have full-time jobs, so I'm not sure when that communication happens. And then
So you think we need another paid person?
maybe not another, maybe one in the same of another position.
What might be a better idea would be if the supervisors themselves were a little bit more active in the operations of the township. Okay? I have not once gone to a meeting, and I don't think I've been quite as many as Rosemary, but I've been to quite a few. They're never prepared. They're never on time. And they're never all there. There's always one missing. Why are they there?
So there's certain positions that you're authorized to be a supervisor and this position, or,
We did that.
so I'm not,
We had one in charge of the road crew, and she was a supervisor.
okay,
There's several questions.
But
yes ma'am.
It sounds like what you're proposing is that it needs to be, the supervisor would need to appoint or agree that one of the already existing 5 kind of become the manager or head of the group. Take that leadership responsibility, and everybody would be accountable to that person with their reports. Is that what you're saying?
I think that's what he's saying.
I
That's not
think
what
it's
I'm
an
saying.
option. We can't do anything till we get in there. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We'll have to go in there and, until you see what the mess is,
But it sounds like
it may be a good option.
there needs to be more leadership and more accountability, and maybe one person,
Somebody
as
has
a
to,
spokesperson, might be a good way to go about it.
somebody has to watch the cash register, okay?
That person has to have the skill sets too.
Right.
Yes.
The person has to be able to write grants. Person, has to, be able to write reports.
My other question,
Organize, have organizational skills. And the time to do it, that's you two folks who really capitalize on your campaign running for office, that you are both retired and you have the time. Yes.
Question?
So I've been a resident in the township for almost 10 years, now a lot of something off. I've gone to some of these meetings, and what I witnessed so far, and why I think these two would be great candidates, is 9 times out of 10, I go to these meetings, ask the question, why aren't my roads done? Why can't something be fixed? I get, it's not a priority. I have to take her with me, and it's not a priority. None of these supervisors on these boards want to listen to anything any of you want to say. So, prime example, these two at least want to listen, and at least are going to chill out. Which already right there is a positive in the right direction. We all are a voice. And either it's going to stay the same, or we're going to make a change.
One short point, this gentleman makes a very good point. I mean, nobody's saying that the township is broke. Who just said we don't know if we got any money left? If we do, where is it? It's a heck of a time to be thinking about hiring a business manager. That's not gonna be cheap. But the thing of it is, if you get the right one, he's gonna more than pay for his salary. If you've been, for those of you that have been around as long as I have, I see there's many. I remember there was a mayor in Sayre for 27 years, and he wouldn't spend a nickel on anything. And Sayre about fell apart. Cobblestone streets fell apart. The paved streets fell apart, the sewers fell apart, everything from the DPW, the snowplows fell apart. We didn't even have a leaf blower at the time, that was just a waste of money. We got a young man who went to school for municipal planning. Now the key here is, he knew how to write a grant. Now, you could get somebody, if they're full, if they're retired or they're working or they're, one person can't do all this. There's not enough hours in the day. One person can't do it. You gotta get someone who could write you grants, and they leverage, and they get all of this stuff for very little cost because the government, the state, the feds are set up to give you grants. They want to help you on. This is the way they want to give the taxes back. They don't want to give them to you. They don't want to give them to me. They'll give it to the municipality. You need somebody there to get it. And there's so much that Sayre's done in the last 20, 30 years under Dave Perry, it's just unbelievable. And most of that comes from being able to do grant writing. But a manager, if you get a good one, you're gonna be worth it.
So, I don't know if that's the right route or not, I just think it hasn't been explored, and I'm trying to figure out a way to get a grant writer. At a meeting probably 6 months ago, it was almost a year ago, because they wanted to send the road superintendent who just resigned, they wanted to send him to grant writing school. And I kind of just shook my head and went, isn't he kind of busy with doing the roads? And the secretary, they wanted to send her, and I think that she would be great. Megan Carlin has done, from my estimation, my observation, she's done a great job trying to get information to the supervisors, and after that, it's out of her hands. So I don't know that a township manager is right, Rob, but I do know that we do need a grant writer in the township. And I don't know if they take volunteers to do that or how we would get that, but.
There's private companies that do provide that service, but you have to purchase and you have to.
Yeah, you gotta spend the money on it. So it's upfront money, it's an investment.
Yeah, it is, really.
So, investment.
Sounds to me like the credentials you have and Mr. Kelley has would bring a lot of knowledge to the board of supervisors to be elected. And you guys have some really good skill sets. The existing people on the supervisory board, what is their credentials? What are their strong points? What do they bring to the table?
Well, we have, one lady's a school teacher. One lady used to work at Guthrie Clinic. Ron Reagan's a farmer. Mike Freeland drives truck for Athens Borough. Wasn't this? And Matt Moore works for, what's the steel plant?
Nucor.
Yes, I'm sorry. Thanks.
Okay, so you have a pretty diverse group of people from different walks of life. But it sounds like the two of you, though, have more organizational skills that might help in these areas where they have deficits at, right?
I don't know that any of them have ever managed that.
Right.
Well, the biggest thing is they don't listen. They don't listen to the road crew. They don't listen when things are broken. They don't listen when things are fixed. You know, road crew, they have to go dirt and gravel projects. So supervisor comes and says, hey, this is the way this needs to be done. Well, no, it's wrong. It's not that way. They don't listen.
So one of the,
road crew are getting,
I'm sorry, I don't want to.
you know what I mean? But like I said, they're very knowledgeable, both great ideas, but everything's gonna stay the same if you don't make a difference.
Well, that's why voting's so important.
Paul has actually offered at least twice that I'm familiar with, I think 3 times.
3 times.
To be the road superintendent for $1 a year. He told me he would retire from his federal job and he would be the road superintendent for $1 a year for near term and to try and
Till we get some
start
of
to
this stuff
move things
fixed.
in the right direction. And they didn't want to do it. They didn't want to. And this was not.
Basically, they laughed at me. Now, they didn't, do not confuse them laughing at me with the other individual I spoke about. But yeah,
This is when a job came open. It wasn't usurping somebody else. It was, they asked for applicants. He puts his application and says, I'll do it for $1 a year. And, silence on the line.
So if you get elected, then you're there, and you can make you can do this over time.
we can affect change immediately.
If you do that for $1 or for $0 because you're now in office, you can show them what can be accomplished with some more organization, some, more skills that are, amenable to running a government. You can get your foot in the door and start to bring it around. Yeah, it's gonna take time. But if you're in there, you can get it done. It might also be helpful if there's any way, and both of you know, either of any of the people who resigned in September, if you're able to, get an interview with them off the record, something that,
Right.
you get them to be comfortable to. There's got to be something significant that happens for that when people walk out.
Yes, ma'am. Got a question?
Has anybody ever, on the board of supervisors right now, been to any of the supervisors training, any of the supervisors conferences? I speak just from the knowledge of, I'm talking years back long, when it was 3 supervisors. My brother was the chairman, not this brother, but he went to everything there was offered out there for supervisors. I don't know of anybody going to anything anymore to gain any knowledge. And if we do say, okay, we need a manager, why do we need 5 supervisors then?
That's right. No, I agree with that. I don't know the answer to your question. I know that every so often a conference comes up. That's not the same to me as training.
There's tons of stuff out there.
Recently, the zoning officer, they made a motion, passed it to re-up his floodplain management. I think there may be a conference that he goes to that's involved with that, but
I think within
And then I
these,
just want to say one more thing. I've been to almost all the meetings, we quit going because of the health issues, because one thing that I disagree with that happens at the meetings, you're never gonna get anywhere by screaming and swearing, and I disagree that, I wanna make that point, you're never gonna get anywhere.
agreed.
However, I do think that we also need people that are diverse and not all related, sitting on a board of supervisors. And secondly, I just want to say it also could be a woman manager.
So, did you?
I did. I had a question.
I don't have a problem. Listen, folks, I got a little bit of guff because I recommended Rosemary, and Rosemary's running as a Democrat, okay? I'm running as a Republican. And a guy asked me, he said, how can you recommend her? She's a Democrat. I said, because she's competent.
Yeah.
Okay, what we need is people who know what they're doing, okay? People who can make sound judgments and decisions, okay, that aren't based on who they're related to. Nepotism is a problem, make no
That's a
mistake,
big problem.
okay? I'm not related to anybody but the old man on Russell Street. And the entirety of Bradford County, so, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
I think it's obvious that you're very interested, very concerned. You're not revengeful, you're not running because you have a vendetta against people, even though you're not happy with the current supervisors. So that's very encouraging. And I want to know what you are going to do to get yourself elected. 25 people in this room isn't enough, okay? A sign in the yard is not enough. I know we can spread our convictions that you two are good people to get on that board, but we can only share that with so many people. I think you have a great advantage because of all the disaster with this road situation, that anybody that lives on any of those roads is not going to vote for your opponents. However, I am interested in how you think you can get yourselves out there so that people will vote for you. You've tried before. I'm so proud that you're willing to try this again, because most people would give up. But unless we get you on that board, we're going to suffer the same consequences that we've been suffering for so long. So I'm asking, what are you going to do to get yourself known to more people?
Well, I think it's a great question. I'm trying to use as many different ways to get our names out there as I can. Right now, I'm live streaming this on YouTube and Facebook. The Morning Times reporter was here earlier. I reached out to him a couple of times in the last month. A different reporter emailed me this morning and he couldn't make it. We've put ads on the radio. We have put signs in yards. People keep stealing them.
They're collecting signs.
I'm open for advice too. If there's we take these little cards and.
When Rosemary gets elected president of the United States, that sign, you're selling.
We've got these little cards in every restaurant I go in. If they have a bulletin board, I put it on it. I'm open to ideas. There's people in all the municipalities here because I really believe we need to work together in the valley. I don't think it's Athens Township alone. We are having a crisis with our road crew right now. And I think the other municipalities, if we had a snowstorm tonight, our road crew would not be able to handle it. And that means people would not be able to get to and from work, to and from hospital, to and from.
You're retired.
So, there has to be some higher level of cooperation amongst And I really think that we just have to use the different venues that we can. I'm open to ideas. I don't.
The bottom line, folks, is if you don't vote, you didn't vote. I mean, I talk to everybody that'll listen, okay? I have a very outgoing personality in that regard. But, you know, I've talked to people like, oh yeah, Paulie, I'm for you, and then, but they don't go vote. Well, okay, that's great that you're for me, okay, but if you don't go down there and punch the ticket, I lost the primary, 2 years ago by 5 votes. I had to finish in the first 2 to be on the ballot. I finished third. Okay.
Have you talked to your respective party organizations here in the county to see what they can do to help you?
No.
I haven't either, and honestly, I felt I am following those groups, but I really feel like at the municipality level, they've got way bigger fish to fry. And so I'm trying.
I mean, it might be as simple as maybe they offer you to do, mailbox stuffing,
That's true.
I have no idea, but I know that's what larger elections, the two parties do have some vehicles available to
They do, and it's definitely something we should consider.
And have a volunteer base to help.
Yes, ma'am.
So is there a possibility of trying to get a radio spot with the both of you two to let the community know exactly what you're running on and what your goal is and basically tell them about yourselves and then tell them what you want? I'm sure the radio station would probably host you in a spot because it's our community.
I brought a couple ads. This time and last time.
Ads as far as, not an ad, but like a spot where you sit down
Right.
and talk.
Well, no, I haven't done the half-hour interview. If you do that, they have to invite all the other candidates, which I don't have any problem with.
That's
But-
all right. How many other candidates are there?
Well, two. There's two.
There's 2 other candidates?
So Mike Friedland, who was appointed in February, is running against Paul.
Okay.
And Bonnie Petrashak, who I think this is the end of her 6-year.
It's the end of her 2-year after appointment.
2 year. So she was appointed for somebody who resigned. So she's finishing a 2-year. And so it's the two of them.
Yeah, so invite them. If they come, they come. If they don't, they don't. But that way, you're getting it out there and you can discuss and everybody will
It's a
have
Sunday show.
a time, to be able to,
Okay.
I like that.
They have a Sunday show, don't they?
I don't know.
You might also talk to Zach Gates, county commissioner, who's a Democrat, to see, he came out of pretty much nowhere.
Yeah.
And he was kind of a newcomer here, and, I was amazed that people got off.
He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
Here's the key right here, you gotta talk to everybody, whether they're Democrat or Republican.
exactly.
I'm a Republican, but I will vote for anyone that I believe is going to do that job. In any.
Yes.
Again, it goes back to confidence, okay? I had a man get in my face and start arguing with me and yelling with me down at the other polling place down in Greens Land. And he kept inquiring about what my position on Israel was. And I said, listen, I'm here to fix the roads. It's not relevant,
What
okay?
is your position?
I don't have. My position is change the channel, okay? We're township supervisors, okay? That's the extent of our reign, okay? Well, our goal is to fix the roads, okay? Start spending money appropriately, okay? And I think a lot of things will get a lot better after we get in there and we, start putting some controls in place on what you can spend. And just, you know, like I said, competent decision. This lady here was in charge of 11 ships. Okay, not floating up to Susquehanna, big boats.
Boats.
Okay, a lot of people don't understand, Coast Guard has big boats too.
Don't drag it.
Well, I mean, her qualifications are exemplary. Okay, I've never worked on a road trip. Okay, but I've inspected some of the largest gravel pits on the East Coast. Okay, I've been underground numerous times at Cargill, at American Rock Salt, the last night mine up in Harrisonville, Walnut, the big zinc mine. I hate it because it's wet. And it doesn't matter what you touch, it won't come on your clothes. So I never really liked doing the zinc. But I've been around. I've inspected 777 Caterpillar haul trucks. They line them up. I might do 20 in a row. Okay. I have equipment experience. I've worked on heavy equipment. I've worked on jet engine helicopters in the Marine Corps. You don't touch anything on a helicopter without a hoist. Okay.
Do you have cards with your names on them that we could pass
Yes, ma'am.
in our neighborhood?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
don't have to walk my neighborhood and.
How many would you like?
There's some of each of ours on the back here.
Well, I do Vista Drive, Boy Street, and, whatever those three, I could do those.
There's quite a few more.
I would need more than this. There's only 40. I'm willing to go round the board and talk to people.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I certainly appreciate that. I'm going to try to get out and knock on as many doors as I can to see who answers the door.
Thank you.
I think one of the largest problems we have in Holden is the nepotism that's going on. I'm sorry, but I think that is huge.
Thank you for bringing that up.
It's just huge, so you've got to somehow overcome that.
What was the question, Rosemary? Or the statement?
The statement was she's concerned with the nepotism that is evident, that that's one of the biggest problems.
That didn't come to me.
Have you ever met with supervisors meeting and seen a supervisor don't know? Yeah.
Well, typically, if someone's gonna vote no, they table it. We need more information, they
I've
table it.
never seen one vote up.
If
interesting.
they don't agree when they walk in the room, they table it, and table it, and
And
table
then we
it.
go to executive session.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Right in the back, behind you, Bob.
Beyond me?
Yes.
Each of you guys has federal government experience, and how are you gonna translate back into your potential township supervisor positions?
Again, organize, train, equip, operate safely. I mean, you have to start with a plan. You have to start with priorities. The priorities should be based on capability requirements. You organize, train, equip to the operating environment that you're in. To me, it's not foreign. It's organization. I have been a planner in the military planning process. I've been a planner in incident command system, which is the urgent, gotta be there right now.
FEMA.
And I've been a planner for search and rescue missions and for Coast Guard operational missions. And I've written policy. I've put in legislative change proposals when we didn't like the policy. And we didn't like the law that was driving the policy. So if you don't like where it's at, you try to affect change. And I don't like where we're at. So, I went to the meetings for a little over a year now, and I don't feel like it's appreciated or valued. I have a big problem with how they talk with me and other residents. And I can give examples. I won't bore everybody with them, but I can give poignant examples where a young man was completely disrespected for a legitimate issue that he had, and nothing changed with that. I have a concern with that. Respect is not given, respect is earned. and it's active listening, cooperating, negotiating sometimes, and moving forward with a plan. And I think that Paul and I, somebody asked earlier, what are we gonna do if the two of us get in there and there's still three others? I like to think that I can win people over. I like to think that I can bring an argument to the table that is based on law, policy, tactics, techniques, procedures. This is how it's done everywhere, except for, the laws of physics don't exist in Athens Township, but that's from my cousin, baby. We're running out of time, so I want to thank everybody for coming. I don't know if we gave you anything to be hopeful about. I hope so, but I'm just not going away. I moved away from here when I was 18, went to school, joined the service, and moved back. And I want to make this my home, and I just think that we all deserve a little bit more progress and a little bit more respect.
Our job now is to go out and spread the word for you.
Neighbors, friends, everybody that we
Yes,
come
ma'am.
in contact that lives in Athens Township. Right, Ronnie?
That's right.
Right, Elaine? Yeah.
So,
They have to get out and vote.
Yes.
we'll be here for a few minutes if you want to ask individual questions.
Just ask one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
How did the word get out about meeting tonight?
I made an event on Facebook, and then I sent it out to as many friends that I could. Paul put it out on the radio, I told the newspaper. Yes,
I
ma'am.
just was wondering, because if the word doesn't get out, like
Yes,
Paul
ma'am.
called us, because he's my neighbor.
Yep.
But, how do you let people know? That's what I'm saying. Have another event.
Have another event.
That's where I was headed. I think you should do one more event. I know there's not a lot of time, but we could maybe tell other people, and bring them to that meeting. That will help you guys get it.
It would be worth it.
It would be worth it.
3 people each to have a meeting every 3 times.
We need what? We need an army. We do need an army, but, anyway, thank you all very much, we appreciate it.
Appreciate it.